funny thing about heroes. You always think they're the ones wearing capes or flashing badges. But sometimes they're just a guy trying not to miss the 6:05. That day started like most of mine, late, loud, and coated in the kind of fatigue you don't fix with coffee. I was running on 3 hours of sleep and a stale bagel I grabbed from a street cart near 28th. My name's Jamie. 27. No degrees. No pedigree. Just another face in the mess of New York. The platform at Union Square was packed like a cattle chute. Phones out. Eyes down. Nobody talking. Nobody seeing anybody. I was standing near the edge, headphones in, when it happened. This guy, mid-50s, expensive coat, the kind of silver hair you don't get without a good stylist, he staggered. Just a little. Like maybe the crowd pressed too close or his knees gave out. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. One foot slipped off the yellow line. Then he went over. No scream. Just a blur of movement and that sick thud of a body hitting tracks. Tom snapped in half. People gasped. A woman shrieked. Nobody moved. I dropped my bag and jumped down without thinking. My heart was hammering, loud as the rails. I could already hear the distant rumble of the next train. The guy was breathing. Barely. Eyes wide, panicked like an animal caught in headlights. Blood ran down from a cut above his eye, mixing with the grime on the third rail. His leg was twisted. He wasn't gonna get up on his own. I grabbed under his arms and hauled him toward the platform. My boots slipped on the gravel, and for a split second I thought we were both gonna die right there. Then hands reached down, strangers, all of them, and yanked him up first, then me. I collapsed on the concrete, chest heaving, the train's horn blaring down the tunnel just seconds behind. I stared at the ceiling. It looked gray and endless. The guy? He looked at me like I'd grown wings. You, he started, voice cracked. You saved my life. I just nodded. Couldn't even speak. Cops came. EMTs. Chaos. They asked questions. Took statements. Somebody handed me a water bottle and patted my back like I was a damn celebrity. But all I could think about was how close death had felt. How heavy the guy was. How cold the third rail looked even though it was humming with heat. The guy didn't say much else. Just looked at me real hard when they lifted him onto the stretcher. Name? He asked. Jamie Russo. He nodded once. You'll be hearing from me. I didn't think anything of it. People say all kinds of things when they're in shock. I went home to my shoebox of an apartment in Queens. Still had to microwave instant ramen and fight with my radiator. Just another night in the city. But 2 days later I got a call. Blocked number. Normally I ignore those. But something told me to answer. Jamie Russo, a voice asked, smooth and professional. Mr. Corbin would like to meet you. Corbin? Yes. Alan Corbin. Chairman of Corbin Miles Industries. I sat down real slow like my knees forgot how to work. You're kidding, I said. I assure you, Mr. Corbin is very serious. He'd like to discuss an opportunity. Are you available this afternoon? I didn't know it yet, but that was the moment everything changed. I didn't own a suit. I stood in front of the mirror that afternoon wearing the best I could do, a collared shirt with a coffee stain near the hem and a blazer I'd borrowed from my old roommate and never gave back. It was too tight across the shoulders and smelled faintly of weed. Perfect first impression. The address they gave me? Midtown. 37th floor of some glass tower that looked like a spaceship had landed on 5th Avenue. I walked in through the rotating doors and nearly tripped over a marble floor that probably cost more than my yearly rent. Security scanned me like I was smuggling plutonium. The receptionist smiled like she didn't mean it. You're here for Mr. Corbin? She asked, fingers already flying over a touchscreen. I nodded. She handed me a sleek, black visitor badge. Take elevator C. He's expecting you. My stomach churned the whole ride up. I half expected to get up there and find out this was all a mistake. Some cruel rich guy prank. Hey, remember when you dragged me off the train tracks? Thanks, now get lost. But when the elevator doors slid open, a woman in a pencil skirt and sharp heels was already waiting. Mr. Russo, she said. I'm Ava. Mr. Corbin's executive assistant. I nodded, trying not to sound like a jackass. Hi. Yeah. Jamie. She smiled just enough to seem polite. This way. She led me through an office space that didn't look like an office. Everything was white, polished, sterile. Glass walls, open layout, the hum of money in the air. Everyone looked like they'd stepped out of a GQ photo shoot. I looked like a before picture. At the end of the corridor was a massive office with floor-to-ceiling windows. A cityscape view that didn't seem real. And standing in the middle of it with his arm in a sling and a fresh scar on his forehead was the guy I'd dragged off the tracks. Alan Corbin. He turned when he saw me and a slow smile spread across his face. Jamie, he said, walking forward with a limp. Glad you came. I reached out to shake his hand. He used his good one. Didn't expect all this, I admitted, glancing around. He chuckled. Neither did I. But then again, I didn't expect to almost die on a Tuesday morning. We sat. His desk was massive, sleek, and totally clear except for a single fountain pen and a folder. I've been thinking a lot about that day, he said. I keep replaying it in my head. The fall. The fear. And then bam. You're there. No hesitation. I shrugged. It was instinct. Instinct's rare, he said, tapping the folder. Especially the kind that makes people jump onto train tracks without a second thought. He slid the folder toward me. I opened it. Inside was a contract. Clean font. Heavy paper. My name already printed at the top. Corbin Miles runs an executive internship program, he said. Usually it's Ivy League kids. MBA track. Future sharks. But I want to do something different. I stared at him. You want me to intern? He nodded. Not the coffee run kind. You'll be embedded in our operations division. Real work. Real pressure. And a real salary. I blinked. Why? Because I like to bet on people with guts. I don't know your background, but I know who you are when it matters. I sat back, heart pounding. It was insane. I didn't belong here. I didn't know the first thing about finance or logistics or whatever the hell corporate people do when they're not talking in acronyms. But I also didn't have much to lose. Okay, I said. I'm in. Corbin smiled wider. Good. Then he stood, slow and deliberate. His expression shifted just a hair. Serious. Focused. One thing you should know, he said. This company? It looks clean. Polished. But underneath. He paused. It's a jungle. First day felt like getting dropped into the middle of a battlefield with a map written in a language I didn't speak. They gave me a badge, a laptop, and a welcome packet thick enough to kill a squirrel. My ID photo looked like I'd just been arrested for something I didn't understand. I was assigned a desk on the 28th floor in operations, whatever that meant. The floor buzzed with tension. People moved fast, eyes glued to screens, voices clipped and sharp like the air was too expensive to waste on extra words. My mentor, if you could call him that, was a guy named Devin. Early 30s. Expensive haircut. Smile like he'd sell you a fake Rolex and congratulate you for getting scammed. He gave me the tour like it was a punishment. This is the bullpen, he said, motioning toward a sea of desks. These people run supply chain, vendor logistics, fulfillment. You don't need to know the specifics, just nod a lot and don't look confused. I nodded. He smirked. You'll do fine. I didn't believe him. I spent most of the day clicking through spreadsheets I barely understood, sitting through meetings where acronyms flew like shrapnel. QBRs, SLAs, KPI reviews felt like everyone else had a cheat code and I was stuck on level 1. I kept my head down, took notes, and tried not to look like I was drowning. Around 3 o'clock, I ran into her. Literally. I turned a corner too fast and slammed into someone carrying a stack of binders. Papers exploded everywhere. Classic. Crap, I'm so sorry, I muttered, bending down to help. She laughed a soft, unbothered sound and knelt beside me. You must be the rescue intern. I looked up. She was maybe my age, maybe younger. Blazer rolled at the sleeves. Auburn curls tied back. Sharp eyes. Smarter than everyone in the room and totally aware of it. Word travels fast, I said. It's a jungle, she replied, echoing Corbin's warning. People talk. I handed her the last binder. Jamie. Leah, she said, standing up and brushing off her skirt. I'm in finance. But don't hold it against me. Something about her, there was ease there, even in a place that felt like it'd chew you up. She gave me a quick smile, then disappeared down the hall. Just a moment. But it stuck with me. The rest of the day dragged like concrete shoes. I left late. Everyone did. Apparently corporate grind meant you didn't see daylight unless it was an accident. Back home, I sat on my mattress and stared at the contract again. It still didn't feel real. Why me? What did Corbin see? And more important, what didn't I see yet? That night, I couldn't sleep. My head was racing. About Leah. About Devin. About how every person in that building seemed to know something I didn't. The next day, I found a strange file left open on my shared drive. A budget report. But there were line items that didn't make sense, vendor expenses with no vendor names. Recurring payments to CME Holdings and a note that just said consultant retainer. Something about it felt off. I flagged it. Sent it up the chain to Devin. He responded within 5 minutes. Not your concern. Stay in your lane. And just like that, I knew. There was more going on in that building than flashy suits and coffee breath. The company had secrets. And I just brushed against one of them. I kept my head down after that file incident. Tried to act like I didn't see what I saw. Like I didn't care. But I did care. And that's what got me in trouble. For a couple days, things went back to normal. Or what passed for normal in that place. Devin dumped grunt work on me. Report audits, invoice logs, reformatting budget sheets. And I took it without complaint. I kept seeing those line items in my head. though. CME Holdings. Same amount. Same timestamp every month. A ghost in the system. Then, Thursday night, Leah stopped by my desk. "You free?" she asked, arms crossed but curious. Yeah. Why?" "Come with me." She didn't wait for an answer. I followed her to the stairwell. She held the door open, then let it slam behind us. "No one listens in here," she said. "Okay, so this was serious. What's going on?" She pulled out her phone, opened a folder, and showed me a screenshot. Payroll excerpt. Names I didn't recognize. Bonuses way out of proportion. One of them? CME Holdings. "I saw your access logs," she said quietly. "You opened the same file I did. You see it, right? The pattern." I nodded slowly. I thought I was imagining it. "Devin told me to back off." Leah scoffed. "Of course he did. What is CME Holdings?" She hesitated. "That's what I'm trying to figure out. But the deeper I dig, the more walls I hit. Locked files. Redacted budgets. Even HR won't touch it." "You think it's fake?" "I think it's a shell company," she said. "And someone's using it to move money where it shouldn't go." I leaned back against the cold stairwell wall, trying to breathe. "So, embezzlement?" She looked me dead in the eye. "That'd be the best case." We stood in silence. Just the two of us, and the quiet hum of something big and wrong lurking right beneath the glass and steel surface of Corbin Miles. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because," she said, "I think you're the only person here who doesn't owe someone something." That hit me in the gut, because she was right. I had nothing to lose in that building. No legacy, no golden parachute, no mentor in the boardroom watching my back. I was nobody, but that made me dangerous. Back at my desk, I kept it quiet, started digging slowly, methodically, found a pattern across multiple quarters, payments disguised as overseas consulting fees, all routed through the same narrow window at the end of each month. Always through Devin's department, always approved under his name. He was hiding something, but if I was going to prove it, I needed help. So I went back to Corbin. We met in his office late the next evening. The skyline glowed behind him like a painting, and for once, he didn't look so polished. His tie was loosened, sleeves rolled. "Jamie," he said, motioning for me to sit. "You look like a man who's seen a ghost." "Not a ghost," I said. "A money trail." He didn't react. I laid it out quietly, carefully. The duplicate vendor payments, the shell company, the closed loops in accounting, the firewall around CME Holdings. Corbin listened, fingers steepled, eyes calm. When I was done, he nodded once. "I suspected as much." "Wait, what?" "I knew something was rotten in ops," he said, "but I didn't know how far it went." "So you want me to keep digging?" "No," he said. "I want you to be very careful. This isn't just numbers, Jamie. It's leverage. People in this building would kill their careers, and yours, to keep this buried." He stood, walked to the window. "If you go further," he said quietly, "you'll make enemies." "I think I already did." Corbin turned back, his face unreadable. "Then you'd better find out who they are, before they find you first." Started small. A coffee that wasn't mine, dumped all over my desk first thing Monday morning. IT accidentally revoking my login credentials. An urgent calendar invite from HR that turned out to be a no-show. Little things, but they added up. And they weren't accidents. Someone knew I was sniffing around, and they wanted me to feel it. Leah kept her distance during the day, but after hours we met in the stairwell like we were in some Cold War spy movie. She'd started encrypting her files, backing them up to an off-site drive, just in case. We both knew what that meant. We weren't just employees anymore. We were threats. The tension was getting harder to hide. Devin cornered me in the break room midweek. His tone friendly but his eyes sharp as glass. "Jamie," he said, pouring himself a black coffee. "You settling in okay?" I gave a cautious nod. "Yeah, learning a lot." He smirked. "You know, it's important to respect your place here. Not everything's meant to be understood right away, especially by interns." My jaw tightened. "I'm just doing the job." "Sure," he said, leaning in slightly. "Just be smart about which jobs are yours." Then he walked off, sipping his coffee like we hadn't just exchanged coded threats. That night, I went home to find my apartment door cracked open. The lock hadn't been busted, it had been picked. Nothing stolen. Nothing touched. Just my laptop moved slightly on the desk. Like a reminder. I called Leah. They were inside. Her voice was tight. You need to stop. Right now. They're scared. They're dangerous, she snapped. Jamie, this isn't just about covering up fraud. This is about protecting the people who benefit from it. The people who've built careers, empires off the backs of shell companies like CME. I paused. You're saying this goes above Devon? She hesitated. I'm saying it might go as high as Corbin. That hit me like a truck. No way, I said. He told me to be careful. He's the one who warned me. She sighed. Exactly. What if he's only warning you to keep you on a leash? To control what you find and how far you go? I wanted to argue. But deep down I couldn't shake the doubt. The way Corbin always knew more than he let on. The way he never asked for proof, just confirmation. Something didn't add up. The next morning I walked into the office to find Ava, Corbin's assistant, waiting by my desk. Mr. Corbin wants to see you. Now. I followed her in silence up to the 37th floor. Inside, Corbin stood with his back to me, looking out over the city like he was trying to decide whether to buy it or burn it down. You've been busy, he said, still facing the window. I stayed quiet. He turned. You think I don't know about the files? The calls with Leah? The stairwell meetings? My stomach dropped. I brought you in because I saw fire, he said. But fire, if it spreads too far, burns the wrong people. I stepped forward. Are you protecting Devon? He laughed, bitter and low. Devon's a pawn. Always has been. This is about the structure. The system. Every company has rot. The trick is keeping it contained. Contained? I said. You're telling me to look the other way. I'm telling you to choose, he snapped. Do you want to be righteous? Or do you want to win? My heart was pounding. You brought me here because I jumped onto train tracks, I said. But now you want me to back off the second the danger's real? He stared at me. Hard. No, he said. I brought you here because I thought you'd understand how this game is played. Clearly, I misjudged you. I left without another word. When the elevator doors closed, I felt it like I just crossed a line I couldn't come back from. That night, Leah sent me one line. They're erasing the CME trail. We have to act now. We had 48 hours before the quarterly audit hit. That was our window. After that, the paper trail would be scrubbed and CME holdings would disappear like a ghost into the spreadsheets again. Leah and I met at a 24-hour diner in Flatiron, booth in the back, burner phones in hand. She slid me a flash drive across the table like we were planning a heist. This is everything I've got, she said. Ledgers, email chains, payout schedules. Some of the recipients? They're internal. Upper level. Protected. I plugged it into my laptop and what came up nearly made my stomach turn. Names I recognized. People who shook my hand my first week. Some I'd smiled at in the elevator just this morning. And right there in bold, Devon's approval signature on more than 24 payments to CME Holdings. The shell company wasn't just a siphon. It was a vault moving money to people with titles like Strategic Advisor and VP of Procurement Integrity. It was an open secret, one I'd been sleepwalking through. We worked through the night, mapped out a network of payments including pass-through accounts in Luxembourg and Dubai. Leah, for all her cynicism, was surgical. She'd been building this map for months. I was just the missing piece, someone Corbin wouldn't suspect, someone naive enough to still think truth mattered. At 4:13 a.m. she leaned back in the booth, drained and blinking. We can leak this, she said. Anonymous tip. Journalists would eat it up. I shook my head. Not good enough. They'll call it rumor. Deny. Delay. Then what? She asked. I paused. A full report. Internal. Forwarded to every board member. With attachments. Sign it anonymously if we have to. She stared at me for a second, then nodded. Okay. But the next morning when I got to the office, everything blew up faster than I expected. Security guards were waiting by the elevator. They didn't speak. Just escorted me upstairs, straight into HR. Not just HR. Legal was there too. Devon stood in the corner, arms crossed, a smirk playing at the edge of his mouth like he'd just won the damn lottery. We've been made aware of unauthorized access to confidential files, the legal guy said, flipping through a folder with my name on it. Jamie Russo, correct? My mouth went dry. We'll be placing you on administrative leave effective immediately while we conduct a formal review. You're serious? I said. I'm the one reporting fraud, and you're suspending me? They didn't answer. Devon stepped forward. You should have kept your head down, man, he said quietly. Would have had a nice run. The guards escorted me out. I stood in the freezing wind, backpack slung over one shoulder, half expecting Leah to call, to say, we'll fix this. Instead, my phone buzzed. Blocked number. I answered. A voice I didn't recognize said, you need to stop. Or you'll be off the grid before your inbox clears. Click. No name. No threat beyond the tone. But it was clear. Someone wanted this buried, and they didn't care how deep they had to dig. I called Leah. No answer. Called again. Straight to voicemail. I stood there on the curb, surrounded by skyscrapers that suddenly felt like watchtowers. Then I got a text. A location pin. Brooklyn. 17th and With. I didn't think, I just went. She was there. In a rental car. Pale. Shaking. I think someone's following me, she said. Eyes darting to the rearview mirror. I saw a guy at the subway this morning. Same one from the elevator yesterday. They're trying to scare you. It's working, she whispered. I looked at her, really looked, and realized how far this had gone. How close we were to stepping into something we couldn't walk out of. Leah, I said, we need to go bigger. She frowned. Bigger than the board? Yeah, I said. We blow it all open. We didn't sleep. That last night felt like the edge of a cliff. The air sharp with tension. Leah worked at the table, eyes rimmed with exhaustion, while I paced the floor of the tiny Airbnb we'd holed up in. 2 laptops open, 1 burner phone, 1 loaded flash drive, and a plan that could wreck lives or save them. We were going public. Not to a paper. Not to some blog. We were going straight to the shareholders. Corbin Miles had its annual virtual summit the next morning. Live-streamed. Investor Q&A. Quarterly projections. The works. An open channel to every stakeholder with money in the game. We'd hijack it. Mid-broadcast. Inject a presentation with proof. The shell companies, the payouts, the executive complicity, names, numbers, everything. All we needed was access to the livestream back end. Leah had it. She used to work in finance, but she'd built tools for PR too. Knew how their systems interfaced. Knew the back doors. You're sure this'll work? I asked for the 3rd time. No, she said. But it's the best shot we've got. The stream went live at 9 a.m. By 9:14 we were in. I watched on the screen as Corbin took the stage in a crisp navy suit. No hint of nerves. He was the same smooth operator I'd met that first day. Calm, powerful, magnetic. Thank you all for joining us, he said. Let's talk about the future of Corbin Miles and of the people who make it great. That's when Leah hit execute. The screen glitched. For a heartbeat, it froze. Then the slideshow started. Slide 1, CME Holdings, internal audit leak. Slide 2, payouts, executive names, cross-referenced bank statements. Slide 3, Devon's approval logs, offshore transfers, signed memos. Slide 4, Corbin's initials on a compliance override dated 6 months ago. And then a final line in bold, white text. Integrity isn't a slogan. It's a choice. The stream went dead. The fallout hit fast. Phones blew up. Messages poured in. The company tried to shut it down, called it a hoax, a breach. But we'd already backed everything to a public archive. The link spread like wildfire. Twitter, LinkedIn, financial blogs, corporate whistleblower threads. Investors panicked. The stock dipped 17% by noon. And by 3 p.m., Devon was on leave pending investigation. I thought we'd won. I was wrong. That night I got another call. This time it was Corbin. He didn't sound angry. He sounded tired. You made your move, he said. Did you get what you wanted? You were in on it, I said. All of it. He chuckled, dry as dust. Jamie, you think this ends with one leak? One viral thread? There's always another system. Another layer. All you did was shake the tree. I'm okay with that, I said. Silence on the line. You're not scared? He asked. No, I said. I've already been at the bottom. I know what it looks like. He didn't answer. He just hung up. 2 days later, he resigned for health reasons. Ava disappeared from the company directory. Devon's name vanished from the org chart. And Leah? She got a job offer from a nonprofit that specialized in corporate ethics and reform. She didn't even apply. They found me, she said. Guess word gets around. We met one last time on the Brooklyn Bridge. Sunset. The wind cold but clean. What now? I asked. She smiled. Now we try to live like we earned the right to change something. I nodded, staring out over the river. You ever wonder what would have happened if I didn't jump on those tracks? All the time, she said. But I'm glad you did. We didn't kiss. We didn't make promises. We just stood there, two people still healing, still figuring it out. But we weren't ghosts anymore. We were awake.